human body is a fantastic machine. Optimizing the body to make it work on the highest possible level of efficiency in high-level sport definitely makes a difference when it comes to results, championships and success. We are very familiar what strength and conditioning in basketball means, what a mainstream trend when it comes to conditioning means. But can approach to rising the level of performance of athletes be different? Talking to Filip Mihajlović, head of performance in Hapoel Jerusalem Basketball Club, we understood that performance of individuals and of team means so much more than just a physical aspect of the body. His way blew our minds, and we saw a more complex approach to this role that we never saw before, by controlling and influencing the efficiency on a cellular level of a single athlete to influencing performance of a head coach. Controlling neural, emotional, cognitive, physical, biomechanical, energetical and biochemical aspects, understanding the basketball, managing the efficiency during the game, all of these can be and should be controlled in order to create the highest possible level of performance. As we said in the beginning, the human body is a fantastic machine, and physical aspect does not depend only on lifting weights, power, speed, aerobic or anaerobic aspects. We witnessed the stories of players, heard how their performance was changed by targeting other systems in the body, neural, limbic and specifically the immune system. Can you actually target physical performance by influencing the immune system? We learned that the answer is yes, and it is actually high priority. Meet Filip, the guy who sees and controls performance inside of a team on a totally different level and in a different way, and step into a new dimension of performance in sports.
I didn't understand it at first, but I had to be open-minded, and I realized it was the best thing that could happen to my career.
Honestly, it opened my mind, my eyes, in a totally different way than I ever seen before.
First I thought it was some voodoo stuff.
If you saw it, you wouldn't really understand it.
Take it out from your head and actually perform it.
It's almost like hypnotizing. I don't know how to describe it.
He works a lot with the body, a lot with energy and stuff like that.
Every time he was touching a problem,
he does everything. He takes care of our bodies, our minds, everything.
I'm a gazelle now, I feel like. I'm able to get up and down the court, so.
Probably is the most important guy on our team.
Yeah, he's very stubborn. I hate him.
I mean, a magician creates magic.
Pure magic.
Pure magic.
Trinity concept is something that I try to create as a symbol to represent maybe the philosophy that I'm trying to implement in the teams. I like to say that teams in basketball and sport, especially team sports, can create for you more truthful environment. They are more dynamic, the changes are fast. You go from happiness to sadness. You have problems, physical, emotional, physiological, that you need to fix fast. You don't have time to fix it in a month. You need to fix it in 24 hours, in an hour, in 3 days maximum. If you don't fix it, you lose a player. If you lose a player, you lose the structure of a team. And if you lose the structure and stability, you're gonna lose some games. So if you have a player out for 10 days, if you play EuroLeague, maybe you're gonna lose 5 games in a row because you are missing one player. It doesn't matter if he's the best player, you lose stability. You have a game plan with a team that you have, and then you don't have that team anymore because you don't have that structure anymore. So you need to readapt. Most of the teams, they don't readapt that fast because it's not easy. So it means you need to resolve problems fast.
First I thought it was some voodoo stuff. I wasn't really about it, but I'm a very curious person, so asking him questions about what he's doing and trying to understand what the entire methodology that they use, you really get a good grasp of they have such a deep understanding of what the body is and how it works and how it's connected to your mind, to your nerves to how everything just works together. And it's such a complete feel that, like, for me, having gone through a couple knee surgeries and rehabs, I never really had that. They just kind of like, do this, do a step up, and then that's how it is. But having somebody that understands how everything is connected and then kind of explain it to you, you're like, this makes so much more sense and this is so much more helpful. And then you feel it, and he's like, yeah, I know, I told you. It's like, all right, I believe you now.
Listen, that didn't start, it didn't happen overnight. So I'm kind of involved, but not directly. I'm the guy on the side, like, maybe I should do this that you guys are doing about Trinity and his methods and his approach to the human body and activities and basketball as a sport. Because I'm a coach, I can talk about the rest of the things that he's doing. He will say a little bit more.
I really didn't know what it was, so he kind of had to like break it down to me a little bit, and ultimately asked me if I wanted to try it, and ultimately I wanted to try it. And it just helped a lot. For me personally, it's been like cleaning out my scarf and stuff like that. Like, you have a lot of baggage and stuff, like past trauma with past injuries and stuff like that. So it's a lot of buildup and stuff within those areas. So for me, we do a little something before every game where we just clean out my scarf. We kind of touch it with sensation and stuff like that and clean it out. So that's been very helpful for me.
For me, anything new, I think a lot of people are hesitant. I mean, it's human nature to be hesitant for something new, but when you want to get better and develop, I think you have to try to be open as much as possible. And that was my whole goal, you know, coming here with Filip last season, coming to the team, was just to be a sponge and try to use, you know, as the resources to the best of my ability to be able to get to the next level. And it's very different, but I think for it to work, you have to believe. You have to trust it. And I think that was the big thing, is, you know, just trusting Filip, and it helped a lot.
It was a little strange for me because for me personally, I didn't really see that in sports. I mean, I'm not really sure if other people do it too, but for me, it was kind of weird because it was certain areas that would be bothering me, and then he does like a little manipulation, and then you don't feel it anymore, like within 10 minutes. So it was definitely kind of strange for me. But like I said, it helps it, and it works a lot. I didn't understand it at first, but I had to be open-minded, and I realized it was the best thing that could happen to my career. Just to balance the body, to balance the focus, just to focus, and then not on top of that, just understanding my own mindset and what I need to prepare myself.
Honestly, it's like I was a little bit surprised, but for me, because the team was already, you know, running, was already training, I saw the effects that he had in performance immediately. So I was like super surprised in a good way. I admire what he does and what he did to us, because honestly, it opened like my mind, my eyes, like in a totally different way than I ever seen before. So again, I'm not talking like about what I believe, I'm talking about facts. Our performance increased, like, I don't even know like how much to say the percentage, but it was like every time he was touching a problem, it was fixed and we moved on. And not only a problem, like those techniques, like his perspective about performance and how to work on it, made us like be like even better, double better, triple better. It was like, for me, honestly, surprising in a good way, breathtaking. And again, I'm saying like, it's facts. I'm not talking about my opinion.
Well, listen, I like to believe that I'm kind of open-minded person, and I like to believe that him being pretty much the same, you know, hard worker, open-minded, educated, well-educated, with a like wide spectrum of knowledge. I think all of it, then you need to simply channel into something that you call Trinity. I know more obviously about the part that he's doing in basketball, and the fact that he's following me and that we work together, I guess says a lot about what I think about it.
We have like different senses we're using: eyes, ears, touch. But body has more receptors that you can make awareness of. So we don't just use them, and that's why they are slipping. It's like you're not using toes on your feet. It doesn't mean they cannot be more functional. If you start using them, we have guys with 60 years old playing piano with their feet, only because they use them often. So how do we target problems? It's super hard to test during the season or in a prep period to test the players, because there is a huge number of systems, huge number of parts of the body, and you can find dysfunction anywhere on the body.
He's a very attentive guy, cares deeply about players, and specifically for him to be able to do what he does, he goes so in depth into feelings, into emotions, into your neurology, into your body, and understanding who you are as a person in order to understand what your body needs. And having somebody like that that's willing to do something and not push it on you, let you come to him and then show you what he can do, and know you that well and take care of you that way. It's just, you can't substitute that for anything.
Simple touch of me, of a dysfunction, it can be like a detector. So we can find one joint or test on that joint, on that player. And me going through the body and testing on another joint will give me an info what's going on that region. When it gives me that there is a problem, then I can test another layer to see if this is a primary problem or it's a secondary problem. If it's a secondary, it leads me, it has a path, like a line, leads me to a primary problem. So usually when our biomechanical problems, we test mainly through touch. So we control load, we control intensity of practice, and when players during the season go into fatigue, a season like big number of games, then you can find the weakest link. The weakest link is the most often used dysfunction, like a compensation. And then when you use, for example, for this movement, you need to use mainly quad. But if the quad is not working, you have different structures, different muscles that will help. So if you want to develop, if you want to lift big weight and the quad is not active, you're not going to be able to do it with the muscles that are compensating. But if you if you push the body, then you will create inflammation, you will create spasm, you will create muscle tear on compensatory muscles. So when we see discomfort becoming more and more present, then we stop and then we try to locate where it comes from. So we basically test through adding load and intensity step by step. So when the player comes and say, listen, I feel something around my ankle, okay, we put him on a side and then we test it. So we know, like, body gives us a sign where is the most used compensatory mechanism. From then we test through touch and then clean, reactivate, put him in a protocol again, and he's good to go. So we clean that dysfunction, okay, we wait for another one.
I feel really good. I feel like I'm getting back to how I was at 21, 22, 23, as far as, you know, how my body was moving, how I was able to be athletic and agile and getting up and down the court. Even like the way I run when I feel like when I first came with Filip, I mean, he'll joke with me all the time. It's like, man, you look ugly out there running. But now I'm able to, like, I'm a gazelle now, I feel like, you know, I'm able to get up and down the court, so.
You know how, like, there's always somebody behind the scenes that nobody really knows because he's not really in the pictures or nobody talks about him a lot, but he's the reason we are who we are. So that's my best definition. Like, he's the reason I was able to play so well, be so focused and be so aligned. There's many definitions, but I would just say he just helps us be aligned, helps us balance the body, real ideas of how to maintain our focus. Probably the most important, is the most important guy on our team.
I mean, I appreciate him. For me, he's one of the biggest reasons why I came back this season. To be able to work with him and continue to grow and get better. I knew the work we had done last year, and I knew the work I was doing this summer, and to be able to put that together again for another season with Filip, you know, I think I have my own personal goals as well as team goals. But for me to be able to, you know, combine 2 good years with Filip and just get in my body, back in the right condition, I feel like, I have a high ceiling to continue to grow. Like, I think sometimes with players, they feel like they've arrived, even when they're playing well. And I think that's the start of a downfall. For me, I feel like I have a lot more to go. And I mean, I always ask him questions or pick his brain on what should I do? What do you feel I should do? And sometimes we disagree, but we always are able to meet in the middle on something that I feel is beneficial and he feels is beneficial for me. So, like I said, he was one of the big reasons I came back this season, to be able to work with him and continue to, further my career.
Last year we had a stretch, I don't know if it was when he had to go home for a week or two, and our team just like plummeted. Energy in practice was bad. Just everything kind of started falling apart, and every single player recognized it was like, Filip's not here. Like he's at every practice paying attention to how our bodies are moving individually, what the practice needs to look like, if we need to go up higher and more intense, or like, hey, we're good, we're ready. Huge influence on the team. And then even just for like our own, each individually having the trust of somebody there to take care of you is massive for us, because it takes care of one of those basic needs that, like, okay, we can focus on something higher now because Filip's got our back and he's paying attention to what's going on, so I don't have to.
Everybody claims to be smart, but only certain people can get results out of their smartness. That's just right there. There's I'm smart, I can do this. No. Phil's smartness is creative results. If you pay attention to our games, if you pay attention to what we win, if you pay attention to the season we had last year, it was kind of tough. It was really, really tough. I say this, it was really, really tough for us when we didn't have Phil in those last games in the playoffs, because you can just see the change in the routines, the energy, just on the sideline. Like on the sidelines, for instance, you can see him always doing like this when someone makes a three, and you can see his energy. You can see everything. Even when the energy is low, you can see him just picking us up. And those two games in the playoffs where we just didn't have that, it was just like we were just missing, like I said, the most important thing to our team.
Yeah, so it happened in December last season. It was Levi Randolph, and he had some drive. We played Hapoel Tel Aviv. It's like a derby in Israel. And he had like a drive, and in the moment of impact with the leg, he had a contact with another player, which created a huge force. And his ankle wasn't able to maintain and resist that force. So he has like an ankle sprain. They did an MRI, they found something over there, like structures, but they were old, so the ankle wasn't like super stable at the moment, but the evaluation was that we're gonna lose him for at least 3 to 4 weeks, doing nothing, just recovery. So we go back to like building a trust. So we waited for 3-4 days, nothing happened, no progress at all. So I said again, okay, can I try? Usually when there is a problem and player cannot use part of the body, and if you do the MRI or ultrasound something and you don't see a structural problem, that means there is a strong spasm or hypertonic region, and that can be cleaned instantly. So we went to see what's going on with Lee. We didn't see any structural problem, but he couldn't step on a leg, like huge pain. The only thing that we did, clean the hypertonic state, reactivate the foot, and in 15 minutes he started running. In 3 days he played the game. So recognizing if there is no damage, we can, like in a matter of seconds, we can fix the problem.
For me, it's the ankle, the most memorable thing, because it was a situation where, you sprain your ankle, and a sprained ankle can linger for a long time, especially if you don't take care of it the right way. Just the approach to it, the things we did was very different, but I think that's the most memorable moment, to be able to overcome that and to have the season that we had as a team and the season that I had individually, to be able to play on an ankle like that. And I mean, I remember one game, had a problem with my lower back. I couldn't stand up, my back locked up. And I worked with Filip from the morning until the game to be able to play. And I mean, it was like a miracle. I don't know. We did a lot of things, and mentally, movement. He's a professional. I mean, he approaches every day with the same work ethic, the same intensity. Like, he's fired up before some of the guys are fired up. And I mean, that energy spreads throughout a team. And then when you have somebody like that on your side, it's easy to trust them when it's time to, to work one-on-one.
Okay, so my professional response is, we lost a player. I said, okay, we don't have a player. Then I saw Filip working with him, and I said, come on, that's like a miracle. Okay, I've seen him do miracles, like in that aspect, but okay, that's something that's too tough to happen. And then it happened, so I said, okay, then I'm probably stupid for not laughing immediately and say, it's hard to describe it, because for me now, I'm talking about my own perspective, it's normal. I know how it looks to other people, and if you don't work with him, it's not easy to understand it, so it's a great way if we manage to show to other people what we do and what he does, but right now it's normal. I don't feel surprised, I don't even feel it's a miracle. I know, talking to other strength conditioning coaches or to other teams, how they struggle with the same problems. And I know that for us it's like, I don't know, I don't want to compare, but what other teams are struggling, we're laughing, it's resolved already.
We have another player, EuroLeague level, playing with us right now. He's not playing obviously EuroLeague now, but he used to play it. He has a different trauma, it's neurological, it's scar. And we did some testing, so I'm trying to gather people right now and to do the testing before and after with the techniques, so we offer results, because it's not enough me saying it's working, and maybe it's not enough for the public player coming and saying it's working for me. No, we need results so we can prove that it's actually working. We need numbers. So in the last couple of weeks, I'm gathering a team of people that can help legalize, show that we actually have differences in small amount of time. So we did it, and there is a guy, friend of mine, friend of my brother also, Dimitri Chabarkova, working on Kansas. We entered in some collaboration testing, and we did it actually yesterday with this player. We tested the scar. There is a neurological dysfunction, so we tested the jumps, and we tested different parameters like power, strength, and those kind of stuff, vertical jump, and we did it before and after. We clean neurologically the scar, and the differences are up to 25%, so immediately after 3 minutes. So I believe that showing that approach will change way of thinking, how we can influence body building, also something that we used to build, like speed, acceleration, deceleration, jumping, the things that we measure usually. How we do it, we're gonna show it probably how we do it, and people see it's super simple. It's like hacking the brain basically, and offering a brain to remove the trauma that he has, and giving him a new solution that he will grab instantly and say, aha, okay, this is for me more efficient, I'm gonna do it this way, I'm not gonna do it this way anymore. This was protective mechanism, keeping the scar tensed. Now I see I don't have to do it anymore. This is the way I'm gonna do it, because my leg feels supernatural in now a new environment.
I think when he first did the thing with my scar, because before me and Phil started working together, my knee would get, my knee is healed, but it would get really sore from the rehab and stuff like that. It's ACL surgery, so it would still get really sore. And then I told him, and then he had me do single leg squat before he did anything. So I did the single leg squat, and I kind of felt the soreness still. Then after I did the squat, he kind of did his method, cleaned out the scar. I did the single leg squat, and then I felt perfectly fine, no soreness, and things like that. So it was kind of weird for me. We always talk about it. Phil works with everybody on the team. Guys go to him. It's like a fighting contest. Who's gonna get him before the game? But he makes his time, and he tries to get everybody before the game. I think by now everybody has a little routine that we do with him before the game, so it works out pretty well.
One of the routines with, for example, Speedy, we recognize that his alignment of body biomechanically is coming from his eyes. he had this dysfunction of his eyes, the muscles of the eyes, and they are not working properly. And that is connected to his breathing pattern. So breathing pattern influencing his eyes when he's rotating right and left to twitch. That creates two problems. First, if your eye is not working, biomechanically you will not be aligned, because it depends how you have a perception of environment around. So your body aligns based on what you see. So that is number one. And number two, he's a guy who is a point guard, a ball handler, and he needs to do interpretation of a picture that he sees the best possible way, on time. So this dysfunction in the eyes creates two problems. His body is not aligned, he's not moving good, and he has a split second, like postponed reaction of what's happening. That will create a bad pass, like a half-a-meter bad pass, because the player already left and like split second before, and he passed the ball because his brain do the interpretation that he's right there, and the player is like 1 meter in front.
Preseason game against Maccabi, we did a different focus technique where I was watching the ball, and for instance, as I'm watching the ball, I gained the focus of just the ball going in the net, watching the ball, somebody dribble, watching this and that, watching the whole thing, right? And there was some kids on the side, right, that were just doing like this, what he had just did to me, doing like this, right? And they didn't even know what I was doing, what I was gaining from just him just doing this and me paying attention, me gaining my focus. So during the game, my focus levels was very high. Very, very high. It was very intense, and I was just really dialed in. This is preseason game where it doesn't mean most to most people, but for me, the focus level was just hit the roof. And obviously I had a good game, but I was obviously able to do like this to the fans too. Just, showing them up like, don't critique what I'm doing because you don't understand it, but my focus level was so high, and it was just off of what we did. It was a change in method we did, but it just put me to a different experience in that game.
So we created a routine with him, reactivating the muscles of the eyes with the breathing, and it's a super simple technique. We use a pen, focus on a pen. We do it exactly around like 15 minutes before the game. This is the last thing that he does. So he warms up, do everything, and then we do the eyes just to be sure that the eyes will not be overwhelmed and tired doing something. Like, for example, if we do it 90 minutes before the game, he goes in a locker room, use a phone, like eyes need to do the interpretation of a lot of informations through the phone, and then there is a big possibility they will become less efficient. So we do it immediately before the game. And realigns his body, increase his stability in like stopping, or spot-up shots, movement, decelerating, accelerating, and increases the precision of a pass. With him, we added another thing, and it's like a super simple technique that limits the number of frames that he is seeing the environment around him. So we are targeting the brain to try to do the interpretation of the situation around him based only on 50% of frames. So it is a stress at the beginning, so body becomes tense, but if you go through it, brain will push it and try to adapt, because this is what brain does. And then when you add normal number of frames, so he can see normally, everything becomes slower, he sees more details. He reacts better. He can, I'm not gonna say he's gonna see in the future, but he can see something before that is gonna happen, because the brain has a capacity to predict where one player will go. So now, adapting a brain to function on 50% of frames, like a camera. You have a camera with big number of frames or small number of frames, and the picture will be different. Same with the eyes and the brain. So this is what we do with Speedy. It gives us like super great results. We tested a couple of times with agreement with him that some games we're not gonna do it just to test. Is he gonna be the same? on the same efficiency, not comparable.